to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, join us for a story about the life of Mort Walker and his comic strip Beetle Bailey. Then join us for a story about the Spanish influenza that spread across the globe in 1918. Next, we'll have a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with some love stories celebrating Valentine's Day. Stay with us. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Well, hello again. It's Wednesday again. I'm Frank, and that means this is Around Kansas. Thanks for joining us today. Around Kansas, in case you're new to the program, is a show that tells people about people, places, and things that make Kansas a great place to live, work, play, and come visit us. And of course, this is St. Valentine's Day, and as you can see, I wore red today. What can I say? Anyway, happy Valentine's Day. Do you know who St. Valentine is? Well, believe it or not, I thought I knew too. Anyway, I asked Google to look it up, and of course, he was a 3rd century Roman saint. But here we go. All that is reliably known of the saint commemorated on February 14th is his name, and that he was martyred and buried at a cemetery close to the north of Rome on that day. It's uncertain whether St. Valentine is 2 different saints. One like pickles, and the other had a dog. So there you go. That's St. Valentine. One like pickles, the other had a dog. Either that or you can combine them, and he's the guy that had a dog and liked pickles. I don't know. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day. And thing is you know, in Kansas, there are a lot of great places to celebrate Valentine's Day. I recently discovered a couple of them. Yes, I know, I've lived here most of my life. But that's what's great about Kansas is you discover things and say, wow, really? And one is the Grand Hotel in Cottonwood Falls. It's a beautiful hotel. It is built around the cattle country there and the ranchers, and so the rooms are oversized and they are really wonderfully appointed. And the hotel, of course, in Cottonwood Falls is near a lot of things that you can do, like the tall grass prairie. So anyway, check it out. It's the Grand Hotel in Cottonwood Falls. The other is the Kansas Dinner Train that travels out of Baldwin City. It's a train that kind of takes you back to the 1940s. The cars, many of them were all redone in the mode of the 1940s, and really creates a romantic setting. So for you and your significant other or a whole group of people, you can go and take a ride on the dinner train, enjoy dinner and enjoy entertainment of all kinds. Or if you just want to have dinner and enjoy the scenery as it goes by, you can do that too. So it's this isn't the commercial for them. It's just that I recently discovered them, and they're pretty neat places. So anyway, and that's just a few of the things around Kansas that you will find. We do have some really great stories today. Did you know that the creator of Beetle Bailey is from Kansas? Well, he was. And anyway, he also worked at Hallmark in Kansas City, and that's kind of where he got his start. So Deb will have a story about that. 1980 and 1918, of course, the flu hit the world. And of course, we're in flu season right now. We're about halfway through. So we do have a story on that. Ron Wilson is going to have, he's our poet laureate, and he'll have a bit of poetry for you. And we're going to have love stories because it is Valentine's Day. So anyway, stay tuned. It's going to be fun today. Happy Valentine's Day. I'll see you on the go-around. Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at two sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Cody's statue marks his achievements and welcomes visitors to the Cultural Center. The Fick Fossil Museum houses world-class fossils and artifacts. You'll find Oakley at the hub of U.S. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70. Stop for the legend. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
We've talked many times on this show, Frank and I have, about all the talented people that Kansas has produced. And some incredible artists are among those famous people. And today we're going to talk about one that we just lost recently, and that's Mort Walker, who was the creator of the comic strip Beetle Bailey. Of course, we've had other famous comic strip folks, Hal Foster being one. And I don't know what it is that contributes to this kind of creativity out here, but we've sure got it in spades. And I think it's really appropriate that we pay tribute to the very talented Mort Walker.
Old cartoonists never die, they just erase away. It was one of Mort Walker's favorite sayings, said a Kingfisher spokesman, and until his final days, Walker lived by the word of his motto, engaging millions through his beloved comics. At the age of 94, Walker died peacefully at home on January 27th. Mort was an icon in the world of comics who set the standard for generations of cartoonists, said Kingfisher's president, C.J. Kettler. Dubbed the Dean of American Cartooning, Walker was one of the most prolific cartoonists in comic art history, with the creation of as many as 9 different syndicated strips to his credit during his lifetime, including Beetle Bailey, the third most widely syndicated strip in the world. The fact that the comic is still in syndication today, with original material via Kingfishers, gave Walker the longest tenure of any cartoonist on his original creation in the history of comics. Mort has been a creative bridge between today's talented artists and those of the earliest days of cartooning, said Frank A. Bennick, Jr., former CEO of Hearst. With sons Brian, Greg, and Neil having worked in tandem with their father for many years, his greatest comic creations are in great hands and will remain so going forward. Addison Morton Walker was born in El Dorado in 1923 and had cartooning aspirations at a very young age. He wrote that from his first breath, all he ever wanted to be was a cartoonist. He drew cartoons for his school newspaper when he was 10. He sold his first cartoon to Child Life magazine at the age of 11. His first comic strip, The Lime Juicers, ran in the Kansas City Journal when he was 13. He submitted his first comic strip to a national syndicate at the age of 15 and sold magazine cartoons all over the country. By the time Walker graduated from high school, his work was polished and professional. Walker's first full-time art job was as a greeting card designer for Hallmark while he attended Kansas City Junior College. In 1942, he was drafted into the Army and served overseas in Naples, advancing from private to lieutenant in the Air and Signal Corps, the Engineers, the Infantry, Ordnance, Intelligence, and Investigating branches. He kept an illustrated diary, and some of the GIs who he met along the way later became inspirations for Beetle Bailey characters. The Army sent him to Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, where he got an engineering degree. He was discharged as a first lieutenant 4 years later in 1946.
About 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulder sure hurt. I kept waiting and it didn't get better and didn't get better. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Got down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over, and it just kept getting better and better. And within 6 weeks I was back digging post holes and doing the other hard work that I'd been doing before the accident. And I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Well, folks, we're right in the middle of flu season. And of course, 100 years ago, we were in the midst of that flu pandemic that wiped out millions of folks around the world. So the flu was on their minds too 100 years ago. So I came across this article. It was very interesting on how to avoid the flu, tips to avoid the flu. And in the same paper were mentions of folks who had been lost to the flu. So I thought that would make a very interesting story for you.
1918 wore on. There is just no other way to say it. The World War was enough. Americans were being sent to Europe by the thousands. The majority of those young men had never been out of the county, and now they were in England and France, places they had only imagined seeing one day, but not like this. The world was in chaos. How could it be any worse? But it could be worse. Much, much worse. And Kansas was the center of it. The first cases of the Spanish influenza were recorded in Haskell County and Fort Riley. In March, hundreds of soldiers became ill with severe flu-like symptoms, but the crisis passed. Boys were shipped overseas, but once the soldiers were in Europe, the deadly disease may have mutated, and it slayed more men than bullets. But it wasn't only the soldiers. The civilians in Europe became ill. Then the families at home became ill. A few at first, then more and more. The war had put the whole world in motion, and that spread the disease quickly. By fall, it had come full circle, back to Kansas. People traveled from town to town to care for ailing relatives. Sometimes they returned on the train, believing loved ones were on the road to recovery, only to find word at home that they had passed. The flu casualties became so frequent that newspapers ran columns of obituaries. The numbers were staggering, but each one was a profound tragedy. A young mother of 6 dying as her children were in the throes of the flu. The death of the doctor treating his community. 4 sons in one family. Little May Irene Lawrence, 4 years old. The children, the weak, the small, the old, the strong, the young. It touched everyone. Secretary of the State Board of Health, Samuel Crumbine, admonished the public to take precautions to slow the spread of the disease. News outlets repeated the guidelines about washing hands, not congregating in churches, theaters, schools. Common sense tips like covering the mouth and nose with a handkerchief when sneezing. Germs were not all that was being spread. Paranoia and speculation about the source of the flu led some to speculate that it was a tool of the German war chest. There were reports that doctors and nurses at Fort Riley were actually German agents spreading the deadly disease. Anti-German sentiment was rampant, and Kansas was full of Germans. Many who still spoke German quickly stopped speaking it in public. Others stopped speaking it altogether. Many avoided being seen in public at all for fear of reprisal. And yet, 1918 wore on, and no one could imagine how the year would end.
This segment brought to you by the Arab Shrine Circus, coming to the Kansas Expo Center February 15th through the 18th. For ticket information, visit ArabShrineCircus.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, it's Shrine Circus time! Enjoy a weekend of thrills, chills, and tons of fun at the Kansas Expo Center February 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. See lions and tigers, elephants, high-flying trapeze artists, and watch a man shot out of a cannon. And Johnny Rocket, everyone's favorite, is back! For more information, visit ArabShrineCircus.com and be sure to thank our corporate sponsor, Security Benefit, the Arab Shrine Circus. Don't you dare miss it!
Hi, I'm Randy.
And I'm Paul from PFI.
We would like to personally invite you to stop by PFI, home of Boot Daddies.
PFI is America's Western store, covering over 50,000 square feet.
Over 25,000 boots.
Visit Saddle City with the largest selection of saddles and tack anywhere.
A huge selection of hats at Big Spur Hat Company in PFI Town.
And choose from the best brands of clothing and accessories for the entire family.
PFI, located on Highway 65 at the Battlefield exit in Springfield. And I'm not kidding.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Find out more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
One of the great organizations for farm and rural youth historically was the 4-H Club, which is now open to youth from any setting, city or rural. But this is my tribute to the 4-H Club, Head, Heart, Hands, and Health. My voice began to quiver and my knees began to knock as I had to go forward to give my 4-H talk. I stared down at my paper. My throat just seemed to choke. I was too shy to stand up in front of all these folk. But somehow the words came and my voice came back big as I told the club about how to show a market pig. It was a rough feeling for a kid, I will allege, but then we all stood to recite the 4-H pledge. For head, heart, hands, and health we took the vow to pursue a better life and make the best better somehow. My 4-H journey had begun. It took me far and wide, thanks to friends and caring leaders who stood right by my side. I learned that I could give a talk, and then we had good eating. I learned I could judge livestock and preside over a meeting. Those skills would serve me well as I progressed on through my life. I found a fellow 4-H'er when I met my lovely wife. Now our kids are members of the 4-H organization, which makes them part of the third generation. The members still recite the pledge and stand in unison and have recreation when the business part is done. And I see the younger members who get up for their first talk with their voice all a-quiver and their face as pale as chalk. Be assured that I will thank them and give them lots of praise, for I know that they will learn and grow throughout their 4-H days. Happy trails.
Welcome to our Bar B, 8,000 plus square feet Western store with something for everyone in the family. We have boots, belts, hats, jeans, anything you could want to outfit you and your horse. Come visit our line of saddles. We have 400 plus new and used saddles in stock. We offer tack, grooming supplies, headstalls, breast collars, you name it, we've got it for you and your horse. That's our Bar B, 1 mile east of Highway 4 on Northeast 39th. Our Bar B, where Western is a way of life.
BootDaddy.com proudly supports Equifest of Kansas, Kansas's premier all-breed horse fair and exposition, presented by the Kansas Horse Council. Equifest of Kansas brings the nation's leading equine clinicians and entertainers to the Topeka Expo Center. Enjoy 3 full days of education, entertainment, and shopping, including the Jumper Classic, Breed Exhibition, Top Horse Versatility Competition, Ranch Rodeo, and more. It's an event for the whole family. For more information or to buy tickets, visit equifestofks.com.
Welcome to the Jerry Thomas Gallery and Collection, where we showcase my renowned frontier military and Native American artifacts. Behind me you see a touch of fall. We put together not only the beauty of Micah Highwalking, who is the first graduate of West Point of the Northern Cheyenne people and a dear friend, but also a Hudson's Bay blanket that I have here in the gallery. The unique opportunity that I was able to have was we unveiled this painting and surprised Micah at Custer Battlefield, a true honor.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, who doesn't love a love story? So today, in honor of Valentine's Day, I thought we would talk about some famous Kansas love stories, some famous Kansas couples. And I thought that, the first ones that came to mind were Martin and Osa Johnson, and of course, the World Explorers. And there's a film that's about to come out about them that we'll talk about in a few segments down the way. I think in a few weeks that's set to come out, so we'll keep you updated on that. But in the meantime, let's talk about some just mushy-gushy Kansas love stories.
Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage, said the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, not to be confused with the Chinese philosopher and general Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, though the same principles often apply to both. Love and war have often been intertwined, and never more so than in the story of Kansas. Take, for example, one of the greatest love stories, that of George and Libby Custer. While most women eschewed the hardship of the army, Libby reveled in it. She followed the general everywhere the army allowed her to go. In 1867, however, she and George were separated. She back at Fort Riley, he on maneuvers to the west. Cholera broke out, and George rushed back to make sure she was safe. Or was it to protect her from the attention of another suitor? No matter. He faced court-martial and was suspended for a year. His punishment? He and Libby vacationed in General Sheridan's home, just off the post at Leavenworth. After his death in 1876, Libby never remarried, remaining his staunchest supporter until her death in 1933. Equally adventurous were Osa and Martin Johnson. Their books and films of African landscapes and wildlife captured the public's imaginations in the early 20th century. They inspired a clothing line, and their story is preserved and shared through the Martin and Osa Johnson Safari Museum in Osa's hometown of Chanute. Its curator, Jackie Borgeson Zimmer, has her own incredible love story with husband Lloyd. In 2001, the Pitch newspaper named Chanute, Kansas, and the museum as Best Romantic Day Trip. I concur. Osa's best-selling biography said it all. I Married Adventure. Louisa Frederici Cody's biography could have been similarly named. Upon her marriage to the man who would become known worldwide as Buffalo Bill, her life was a series of ups and downs, and once the couple even tried to divorce, but the judge wouldn't let them. They are together for eternity atop Lookout Mountain, overlooking the Coors Brewery in Golden, Colorado. There are so many love stories and so little time. Go find them in books and films around the corner, and if you're really blessed, in your own living room. Make a love story. On this holiday of love, let me leave you with the words of J.K. Rowling. To have been loved so deeply, even though the person who loved us is gone, will give us some protection forever, It is in your very skin. And so it is. Happy Valentine's Day, though your love be now or long ago, near or far away.
Wasn't it fun today? I'm Frank, and I'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of